chi moving. Let's move that chi. Let's move that chi.
Well, then have some tea.
Hello, you beautiful, beautiful, multi-dimensional, multifaceted beings, sides of a diamond. Welcome to the first video transmission from none other than Mount Shasta. I am so excited to share what wants to come through today, which has been stirring in me for weeks now. And it is a video I am calling the 2020 Takeaways, the year of the Twilight Zone. I actually called 2020 the year of truth in a video that I recorded in Peru in January. So very early in the year, I sat down and I connected with the frequency of the year cycle, and it absolutely has been the year of truth. But I'm doing a remix on it because now that we've actually lived it, now that we are rounding the corner of the race towards the finish line, heading into 2021 in just a few weeks, I wanted to honor that this year has also been undertoned with the Twilight Zone frequencies.
There is a fifth dimension, beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone.
Now, if you don't know what the Twilight Zone is, where have you been? And perhaps you're too young, but get yourself some Twilight Zone episodes, do a little search online and connect, because the Twilight Zone was way ahead of its time, way ahead of the masses in the sense of what type of messages they transmitted, what type of seeds they were planting in popular television through these beautiful episodes. It's been one of my favorites ever since I was a child. I could sit down and watch the marathons every now and again with my dad and just really tune in to the higher frequencies that were, like I said, the undertones of this sci-fi show. In the year of 2020, we were actually gifted many things, and that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about what have we learned, what have we taken and internalized inside of us now that we have lived this cycle, now that we are closing it out. There has not only been darkness and death this year, although if you've watched any of the videos on this channel, you'll know how much I connect with the frequencies of death and transformation and metamorphosis and rebirth. So I'm not actually afraid of those tones. But for some of us that have seen this year as very challenging, I'm here to challenge you to listen with an open heart and see if any of my personal takeaways from 2020 can be mirrored back to you and can remind you of what a transformational point in time this is. A time like no other. A time and space like no other. You could even say a dimension like no other. So, number one takeaway from 2020 is the slow down, the pause button. Whatever you were racing towards, whatever you were marching towards in that very, masculine, perhaps Aryan tones way at the beginning of 2020 got a big fat pause. And the pause for me is a takeaway, because even myself, even the way I was charging into 2020, the way I envisioned it, the way I thought I got it down now, manifest, travel, lead a retreat, healing work in Peru, blah, blah. It just got paused. So that I personally could understand that there was more work to do inside before I radiate my work and my light and my offerings outward. I got trapped in Peru. I spent 9.5 months there, not able to leave the country, not able to travel and hit all those marks that I had set up in my mind and in my envisioning, where I thought, boom, 2020 was going to be a massive year of travel. And it was, but it was a massive year of travel within. It wasn't the exterior travel. It wasn't the let me see and connect with all of these parts of Peru and parts of the world again. I thought I'd be heading back to Europe, landing in Spain, in Greece, all of these things. I was still going to travel. It was just going to shift what type of traveling I needed to do. I needed to slow down. I needed to be in one place. And I needed to reconnect with my roots in Peru, my lifetimes in Peru, my gifts in Peru. The karma that had been amounting from these different incarnations in the sacred lands of Peru, Chile, Bolivia, kind of these South American timelines that I have lived. Now you may be wondering, how do I know all of this? How do I know I had these timelines and these karmic cycles that wanted to be reconciled while I was locked down and in one place, staying put in Peru? Well, through plant medicine journeys, through meditation, through connecting with some powerful and very resonant clairvoyance, I was able to start connecting to my intuition and being led and being guided to the type of healing work that was still needed for me in Peru in 2020. So for many of us, slow down and pause means presence. If you're not running, if you're not in that I'm chasing after my dreams, if you're actually just taking more of that feminine observer role, you are able to be in greater presence. You are able to be in the now moment. You're able to meditate in a way that perhaps you'd never fully dived into before. That's the biggest takeaway of 2020 for me, the slowdown, the physical halt, hold your damn horses. The world is still your oyster, but first let's come to presence. Let's do some deep work. Let's die a few more deaths before you catapult yourself into the future version of yourself, the one that goes back to Europe, the one that starts all of these beautiful offerings and really starts stepping completely into her power. So next takeaway, apocalyptic truth. Apocalypse, a word that can strike fear in the hearts of your Bible Belt citizens or just anybody that has ever read a doomsday book, it's been a word that has struck a lot of fear and a lot of chaos in people. But apocalypse actually comes from Greek. And the definition is the unveiling, the reveal. So when I say apocalyptic truth, what I am tying together is how this year was the reveal and the unveiling of truth. Across the board, we were being asked to recognize how many lies, how much shit had gotten weird and gotten twisted and had been fed to us, spoon-fed to us in the Western world. I know for me personally, in my upbringing in the United States, how we have been spoon-fed the news, these stories, the history books that in fact are all lies. How we've been fed a system that doesn't work for us, that doesn't serve our talents and our gifts, and really just wants us to be machines, wants us to be these little worker bees. And actually, I'm going to take that back because I have a lot of respect for the bees and all of their beautiful frequencies that wanted us to be these robots in a bigger machine, kind of powering a very select group of people's agendas. As long as we stay in line, as long as we're following what society told us, what our families told us we were supposed to do, and as long as we were silencing the passions and the desires and the gifts within us, as long as we were silencing our truth, we were never gonna live the life that we have the potential to live, the life that we have the potential to create, the magic that we have the potential to enact and to reverberate throughout the world. So truth came in, these characters that have been shown to us as heroes. All of a sudden we started to hear and see these other tones of, wait a minute, doctors are telling lies, doctors are covering things up. These people in positions of power, whether it's your Bill Gates, whether it's your celebrities that people love to put on a pedestal, we were starting to see that they had darker undertones. They had more malicious intentions behind everything that has happened this year. Now, I'm not going to go into all of the layers of the truth that was finally allowed to rise to the surface, allowed to come to us in the form of the internet, social media, whistleblowers, your Joe Schmo next door who all of a sudden was like super researcher and creating memes and just really getting the information out there, sometimes with humor, sometimes really serious and blatantly just trying to show you another perspective, another angle on everything that was happening, while people accepted and surrendered into the moment of 2020, into the lockdowns, the quarantines, the mask wearing, the surrendering of a lot of their freedoms, myself included. Although I always was holding the frequency of, this is not okay for me, my soul rejects this timeline. I'm here part of the collective, and I'm also one of the few that is rejecting what I am being sold, right? You can't sell me your truth because truth comes from within. You can't sell me your story because I have a story that is alive in me, playing out in my movie. And in my movie, I'm not wearing mask, and neither is my neighbor, and neither is my family, and people are not afraid. And people are not afraid to stand up and speak for the masses who don't believe in that nefarious timeline. that we are going to start seeing in 2021 as well really start to shake up again. It's gotten a little bit quiet at the end of the year, but guess what? There's going to be another video that I'm going to make about 2021 predictions, you could say, or just tapping into quantumly the energy of 2021, and I'll go a little deeper into what's coming. Another takeaway from 2020 has to be this trust, this unwavering faith that you are exactly where you are meant to be, that you are precisely where you are meant to be when you surrender to the divine plan, that we can lean into and surrender into the mother, into the cosmos, into our soul family, our star family, and hold that faith and hold that trust that we're exactly where we need to be as a planet, that we are exactly where we need to be in this now moment, no matter how scary it gets. We can transmute that moment of doubt or fear into a greater state of awareness, into a greater state of, like I said, faith and trust. And when you do that, when you surrender to the divine plan and to the divinity that you are, you open yourself up to fast tracking timelines. And what I mean by that is, did you notice how many people started waking up this year? Did you notice how many people started looking into things, trying things, seeking things of a spiritual nature, of a spirit and heart-led nature, because of everything that happened? And those are called kind of these fast track awakenings. What maybe I would consider these solid people that were like, this is my truth and I will go to the grave in it, go to the grave with it. Even some of them were starting to show signs of questioning and signs of shifting into a higher consciousness, into a higher awareness. So they put themselves, myself included, on this fast track to consciousness, to healing, to deep, deep healing and deep alignment, deep and divine alignment. Now, I can go on and on and on about this, but I'll just end this point by saying, if you noticed that you were feeling or experiencing time differently this year, then you are one of these people that has been on the fast track to awakening. Timelessness is one of the key frequencies. It's one of the codes that you can crack when you start raising your consciousness, when you start connecting with the divinity above, below, and within. And then all around you, once you start connecting with your auric field, once you start connecting with your torrential field. Another takeaway, and this is kind of a funny one because I've joked about how I consider myself a conspiracy theorist, how this is something that for years now, perhaps it even came from my dad when I remember he showed me this book, or I came upon this book of his that talked about I think it was 12 families that rule the world. And it was about these elitist families that have their hand in everything. And it was a very conspiracy theorist book back then. And I don't remember the title, but I remember he kind of planted this little rebel seed in me when we started talking about this back, I'm talking about 20 years ago. And from there, I've just kind of navigated using the internet, using people that I resonate with in my circles, in my travels, to further dive into these topics, these themes, right? World domination, the fact that there's so few people that are actually in power in the world. They are all the same faces, they are all the same families, and guess what? They've been closing in on humanity and really constricting us and limiting what we can do and what we want to do, which is full expression, infinite creations and reality and manifestations. They don't want any of that. They don't want freedom of thought. They don't want us to be operating out of our hearts. They don't want us to be unified with each other, with our brothers and sisters, and to have harmony in our families, in our communities, in our schools, governments. No. So 2020 takeaway was that this was the year that conspiracy theorists started getting proved right. Wait a minute, that was just a theory before. That was just, a bunch of internet crap. And it's, whew. Preach nature. Look, wow. 2020 was the year that conspiracy theorists became outdated. The term is outdated. A conspiracy is only a conspiracy when there's not proof. And guess what? There was so much proof available to us in 2020. I invite you to go down the rabbit hole. I invite you to start calling into your field resonant truth tellers. Instead of a conspiracy theorist, it started being truth tellers, people exposing that apocalyptic truth that I mentioned already. And I'm here for it. And it's going to continue. It's going to continue because there are armies of people working in all facets. There are people that are going to continue to rev up their heart engines and send this information out, unveil, reveal, until finally those people in power, those people that wanted to keep us blind, that wanted to keep us starving, that wanted to keep us enslaved, until they get arrested, until they start to crumble. Their systems crumble. We don't fall in line anymore. It's an exciting time to be alive. Have I not said that already? This is an exciting time and space and dimension to be present in and conscious in and operating from the heart. The final takeaway that I want to transmit about 2020 is that each of us was in the exact place, in the divine place, space, town, city, village, jungle, woods that we were meant to be in when the quarantines and the lockdowns began. Now I will say that again. Each of us was in the precise, the perfect, the divine place and space that we were meant to be when all of this started to get going in early 2020. You were supposed to pause in a specific, divinely chosen place in the world. Mine happened to be Peru. Mine happened to be Cusco. Divine location was written in the stars and written in my heart. And when I talk about intuition and when I talk about quieting the outside world so that you can really, really connect with your truth, your authenticity, your purpose, your guidance, this is what I mean. Part of me, the most divine part of me, knew exactly where I had to be this year. and bought that ticket to Peru for me and through me. So now I ask you, what did the place that you were in for the majority of these times of 2020, what did that place gift you? What did that place invite you to? What did that place unveil and reveal to you? What truths did you discover? What shit did you stir up in some of these very trying and difficult and expansive and beautiful times? Because there's gold in there. And you get to be the observer, the discoverer, and the alchemist of that time and space. 2020 was a portal, is a portal of energy, a portal of, like I said, this activation and awakening and fast forward to healing. As we close out 2020, reflect, spend some quiet time, lock yourself in the bathtub or in a sacred space where you are not bothered, where you are not distracted, and tap in and replay some of 2020. What did you accomplish? What did you, again, kick ass at? Because if you made it through 2020, you are kick ass. You are a light. You are a force to be reckoned with. And you have everything at your fingertips. All of the magic is within you. If you choose to take your awareness there, take your awareness to what a powerful and divine being you are. What a powerful and divine being you are. How much magic you serve up with just your breath, your presence, putting one foot in front of the other, moving through the world. I'm sending you many, many blessings from Mount Shasta. There will be a few more very powerful transmissions from here. Like I said, the 2021 video that I'm going to film is going to be here, grounded into this land, into these sacred grounds of the root chakra of Gaia. And just so that you can see also my environment where I am present, I am calling in for the collective right now, so that Mount Shasta, the root chakra of Gaia, very, very important earthly and galactic part of this planet, may gift you something right here and now, just because you showed up. You were led here to receive. I love you all so much. May we continue expanding and becoming and remembering and reinventing ourselves to be in greater harmony with Earth and the cosmos. Earth and the cosmos.
Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water, like water, like water, like water, like water, like water.